Hey Sharon, while we waiting for other people to join us, would you like to talk somewhat about the after effects of having an NDE?
Okay. Some of the after effects that I've experienced have been this. Well, when I very first came back from my second near-death experience, I had this thirst, this hunger for knowledge.
Wow.
I didn't sleep. Right after I went 11 days with no sleep after the lightning strike. So it was like I couldn't get my hands on enough stuff
Can you
to
go
read.
back to tell me about the lightning?
Yeah, I was sitting on the back porch talking on a cordless phone,
Okay.
and it started to rain. And then the man I was married to at the time, he'd come home from work and he was an electrician. So I asked him, would I be safe talking on this cordless phone in the rain? And he said, yeah, I'd be fine. So he went in the house, and about 5 minutes later, I hear this rumbling of thunder in the distance, and then this loud crack.
Mm-hmm.
And that lightning bolt came out of the sky and just hit my right arm.
Wow.
I've never felt anything so searing. It was so burning, searing pain. And then I just came right out of my body, just like peeling a banana, just popped right out.
Wow.
And the pain was gone, instantly gone. It was amazing.
Well, that makes sense because, the one thing that I've experienced and other people have reported is the sudden absence of pain.
Yes. It was so, the contrast was just like, wow, because 1 minute you're in total agony and the next minute there's nothing. It's just peaceful and you feel so wonderful.
Yeah. That's
So,
amazing. So do you want to go on? We'll talk about the experience in a minute, but do you want to talk about what happened after the after effects?
well, I know everybody has different after effects, but I know that there are some that are very similar, like people, I screw up telephones and computers. All I have to do is be on the same, well, you and I have talked before, and our phones just die or whatever. And I did learn one time not to get mad because I went out on my front porch and my car was parked right next in the driveway, right next to the porch. And I was really mad. And I went out on the porch and all of a sudden the lights start flashing, the horns going off, and the trunk pops open. And I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
I thought my husband was in the house messing with the key fob.
Yeah.
But he wasn't anywhere around and the keys were on the table. So it was like, okay. So big lesson, don't get mad.
Yeah, that's actually a really good lesson because it's so easy to get mad when when you have things happen. I mean, my husband says that I'm the worst person around technology, and I am, because things die on me.
You're pretty good at technology. I'm so computer stupid, it's not even funny. That is the one thing, though. When I first came back, I could see inside of a computer, and it looked like a little city, inside a computer. It was, I don't know how to explain it other than I'd be sitting at the computer and I could see right inside.
Yeah.
Like I could reach through the phone and touch you right now. That's how,
Wow.
But that went away very shortly after.
Yeah. But that's incredible. I'm sure other people will experience similar things as well. It would be nice to hear from other people whether they've experienced that too.
Did you have trouble sleeping or anything like that after yours?
After mine, I was do you know Duracell bunnies?
They keep on going.
I was a Duracell bunny. You could not, when I came back, you couldn't stop me. I was full of joy and happiness and everything was lovely. And I'm going to look down the corridor. No, you must be in bed. You're really not very well. No, I'm fine. I'm off down the corridor to go and have a look down the ward. And
I know what you mean. More energy than you've ever had in your life.
yes, that's
And
exactly it.
I had a sensation of being in what I called the pink bubble because I didn't know what else to call it.
Yeah.
And it was, I loved everything and everyone, and you couldn't hurt me if you tried. And I was just like a whole completely different person. I mean, I was
Yeah.
still me, but
Yeah.
I was so different that this one thing that I tell people, because I hate bugs. And I've had people ask me, why did God make bugs? And I said, just the little boy inside of him made these awful, horrible, creepy things. And, but I hated them to the point where I had a phobia.
Yeah.
And I still do. But when I first came back, I was outside with my little grandsons, and there was this rhinoceros beetle. That's the
Hmm.
great big long one that has the horns on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awful looking thing. But they wanted to kill it, and I was like, no, you can't do that. It's a living thing. We have to take it. I picked the doggone thing up in my hand, of all people to do that. They were both like, oh, Grandma, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I picked it up and I said, come on, we're going to take it over here and put it in the flower garden. It has a right to live. I mean, I sound like some kind of tree hugger, but that's exactly what I was like. It was so
But
different.
it's strange, isn't it, how you appreciate life when you die.
Yeah,
You know, you've died and you come back, and life is so precious.
it is. And there's a reason. Every single thing has a reason, a purpose, even down to the ecosystem, the frogs
Yeah.
and the turtles in the water and whatever.
Yeah.
And even though someone asked me once, why did God make dinosaurs? I said, for the same reason he
That's true.
made icky bugs. It was the little boy.
Well, I mean, my belief in God is not God in the sky. My belief in God is creation of everything, the cause, if you like it, if you like. Um, and I follow Spinoza, who's a philosopher who was in the 16th century after having my NDE, because he makes sense. And Spinoza talks about God and how God expresses himself. And God expresses himself in as many ways as he can. So everything is simply
Exactly.
an expression. You're a unique expression of God. I'm a unique expression of God. And if we call God the creator, perhaps, I mean, I'm sorry, I do not go with the flowing beard and the white robes. It's just not me.
Well, everybody, what I've tried, and I've posted this on my wall one time about God, and because there's so many different traditions and so many different
Yes.
beliefs, that there's so many, he has so many names, and he'll answer to all of them. He doesn't care what name you call him. He is what he is.
Okay.
And I had someone even say, he is not a he is an it. I said, well, if you feel comfortable calling God an it, you go
Yeah.
right ahead.
I
You
actually
know,
think that's a good point, because, to me, God is the all encompassing everything of everything, time, space, the lot.
yeah,
That is it. We are part of God, as Jesus Christ said, you know,
exactly.
because we are a manifestation of God, whatever God is. And I hate that word because it's used it's used in so many battles against one another. People think God's on their side, or, it's the Muslim God versus the Christian God versus the Hindu God, or whatever God.
But it's all one, and they can call him Joe, Joe excuse me, Joe Blow down the road, and he would answer to it.
Yeah.
He doesn't care what you call him. That's what I keep on. It,
Okay.
it, it doesn't matter. Some people call him source. Some people call him the light. Some people call it whatever. And it's like, he's not really, he's very much like what you said he is. He is so huge and so all encompassing that he
Yeah.
is everywhere all at the same time. And, how to, it, it blows my mind
Yeah.
because of his I call him a him because he appeared to me as a him,
Okay.
as a man. So that's why I call him a him. But it doesn't matter. You know, other people have corrected me and said, no, it's a her. No, it's an
Well,
it.
I saw a column of
Okay.
light, so which I interpreted in my interpretation as being Jesus. With I don't think it was Jesus because it was just a column of light, but it was a column of pure love, pure unconditional love, bliss.
But isn't that what they say God is? God is love.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
it's
I
true.
mean, what does love look like? Love could look like anything love wanted to look like.
Yeah, it's true.
Or
But love is
everything.
something that's contained within you. You know, when you when you have love towards somebody, or someone has love towards you, we're really going at a tangent here. That quality of love, if you feel love towards somebody, it's nothing to do with them. It's entirely within you. It's contained with you. And if they love you, that's entirely theirs. It's quite beautiful. It's just that we're
It is.
told to expect stuff from other people. And I think expectations lead us down a prickly path.
That's, there's different, I don't know what there's different kinds of love. There's agape love. That's the God kind of love, where you just love with no strings attached and you don't expect anything back. You just,
Yep.
That's the kind of, when I talk about love to people, I make sure I let them know that there's different kinds of love.
Yes.
And of course, you've got your, romantic love, and you've got your friendship love, and you've got your parent love, and your child love, and all these different kinds of love. But God's love is just that agape type love.
Yeah. And love, any form of love for me, is something that's part of me, and it's just beautiful. And
It
these
is.
are things that I kind of learned during my NDE, and things like non-judgment as well. I get pissed off sometimes. I still judge sometimes.
Well, that's because we're human, I mean, and just because we have an NDE doesn't mean that we are not human anymore, and that we aren't going to screw up and say words we shouldn't, or, hurt someone when we don't mean to, because we're not all-knowing gurus anymore,
Yeah.
Just because we've had an NDE, we're just people who are struggling just like everybody else. But
yeah,
I mean, that's my feeling about it. But
I agree. Can we go on to another topic? This
yeah.
topic is about people who might be in this group because they're looking for some reassurance that we carry on after death. I'll give you my thing first about it. My thing about it is you're living a human life now. If you're looking for something beyond this life, then, you're not living your life. And also, if we go somewhere when we die, if your loved ones are going somewhere when you die, then maybe or maybe not, you'll meet up with them, and it actually doesn't matter because the love is so total.
Right.
It includes everything. But that's my take on it. Do you want to give me yours?
I can only say, based on my experience, and that I did go to a place. I went to heaven, what I would term heaven. It was the most beautiful place I've ever seen in my life. And the love was so huge. For the first time in my life, I felt so complete. And I felt, I was loved just for me. I didn't have to do anything I didn't have to prove myself. And, for the first time in my life, I didn't feel fat. I didn't feel ugly. I didn't feel stupid.
Whoa!
I felt loved, and I didn't have to do anything for it. It was just there, and so that helped me a lot, because I was no longer fearful of death after that. It was like, and it's happened 4 times. So I just slide out like a wet fish, every time something happens, I'm gone.
Slide back in again.
Yeah, exactly.
You're absolutely right. Let's talk about fear of death. That's something that I agree with you on, since Mandy, I don't fear death. What's the point in fearing death? Actually, we're all going to die anyway. That's something that people try and hide away from. But, why be fearful of something that's going to happen and where there can be something incredible happening?
I was helping a gentleman who's a hospice patient, and he wanted to talk to me. So we got on the phone and we talked for over an hour. But one of the things that I told him was, I said, and this was even after watching my mom die. And I learned, I said, don't fight it.
Yes.
Just relax and go with it. Because if you fight it, that's where the fear comes in. That's where the pain comes in and all that.
Yes.
Just take a deep breath and know that you're being held and you are okay.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people are afraid of is they're afraid of what they don't know. And
Yes.
what they don't understand, they don't know, that's what they're afraid of.
Absolutely.
But I found with each time I died, it was so seamless. And so it was just like walking from one room in my house to the next room.
Yes.
It was that fast, and there was nothing to be scared of.
Yeah.
And the less I've said, like to my mom, I said, I got down by her ear and I knew that hearing was the last thing. And so I just said, I love you, Mom. I love you. I love you. I love you, over and over and over. And I knew she took those words with her when she left. And so I told this man, I said, just don't fight it. Know that you are loved and people are around you and they love you on the other side as well as this side. And just relax with it, because like you said, everybody's going to die. It's just a matter of how and when. Now, I have to admit, I'm worried about the next my dying process, not death itself, but the process. I mean, somebody's going to hit me in the head with a bowling ball,
Yeah. I mean, my death was excruciatingly painful. I was hooked up to machines, brain machine, heart machine, the whole thing. And, but when it gets too much to bear, it's almost like that's when the pain stops. There's just no more pain. It's completely gone. It's amazing.
Yeah. That's when you just came out of your spirit, just left, and it was like, and it is, because somebody made a comment about when I was talking about the drowning, that a couple minutes seemed like an awful long time to struggle and very painful. And I don't remember it being that way. I just remember, that built-in thing that we all have where we struggle just to stay alive.
Yeah.
And then finally it was like, okay, I'm done. That's it. And down to the bottom of the pool I went, and I didn't feel a thing. I was like, what's everybody running around this pool screaming for? I'm fine. This is great. It's like I took a gigantic cotton ball pill or something is how I felt. It was warm and it was wonderful. Of course, at the time I didn't know what had happened, but
no, I don't think you ever do. I mean, I certainly didn't. Maybe other people do. I don't know. We'll have to wait and hear back from them if they understood what was going on. But suddenly for me, suddenly I was okay. Suddenly I was out of the body and I was looking down on it, looking at the nurses sort of running around because the machines had gone haywire.
Yeah.
And I was looking at these scissors on top of the wardrobe next to my bed thinking, oh, that's strange. Why would you put scissors on the top of a wardrobe next to the final life bed, let's call it?
That's interesting that you saw that. When you came back, did you talk to somebody about those scissors and what? And so it was confirmed. See,
I talked to a nurse. I said, why do you keep scissors above her face? She looked, oh, you're not meant to see them. Because there's some sort of process that they use to stab into the chest for some, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is for.
Oh my goodness.
She did explain it to me, but I'm not a nurse. I have no medical training, so I don't know.
But that's interesting that you saw that. and that they confirmed for you that those scissors were there. I mean, how else would you? That's really cool.
Yeah.
that's big.
But I only, I only remember it because it was, to me, it was weird. It's, oh, why would you? That's strange. And then I went off to the void, to the black void, and,
Now, did you find that frightening or not?
no.
See, I
I,
didn't either.
I found it warm and comforting. It's like being almost like being in a womb, really. Um,
Exactly.
yeah, being in
That's
a warm
exactly.
bath, but not struggling with breathing, just being in a warm bath and everything's dark around you, and it's like, oh, this is nice.
It's
You had the
comforting.
same?
I thought my fourth near-death experience was a void experience, and what I had been in the groups for so long on Facebook that everybody talked about the void, and I was terrified of it. I wasn't scared of dying, but I was scared of going there because of everybody's stories. But then when I found myself there, it was like I was in a womb. It
Yeah.
was a black, soft black, velvety blanket is what it felt like. And I was just so cocooned and comfortable, and I could see myself inside this blanket, and I was like on my side curled up in the fetal position, and I actually felt like a baby.
Yeah.
And I was just held suspended in this awesomely beautiful black velvet blanket. But if you hold fabric up to the light, you can see light, little pieces of light coming
Yes.
through
Yes.
the weave. So I could see through the blanket these stars or whatever it was. I don't know, little pieces of light coming through the blanket. But then there was this huge presence of love with me, and I heard this person talking either to my soul or to someone else about me, about whether I was to stay or
Wow.
go. And I
Really?
heard the conversation, and it was like, but it was kind of like mind to mind or
Yeah.
telepathic message or whatever. And it was like, you're very tired, you're depressed, you just need to stay here, you just need to rest, it's okay, I got you, you're all right, just think about this, because we don't want to make any hasty decisions, because if it was left up to me, I'd have been gone. That's it, I'd have been gone.
Yeah.
But he would, I'm calling him God.
Yeah.
He was just kind of holding me in these gigantic hands, and it's like, I got you, you're okay, just rest, it's okay.
That's lovely.
And that's all I know about it. It was beautiful. So I
Yeah.
don't know. I guess if we just go with the flow and not fight these things,
Yeah.
then they're not nothing to be fearful of.
Yeah. Be interesting to talk to somebody who had a, a fearful experience, because some people report that they do have bad experiences, and find out where that fear came from.
Well, that's true. I there's been a couple people that I've talked to. I talked to Howard Storm a couple times, and he, excuse me, he had a negative. The beginning of his experience was negative or scary or whatever, and then he got out of that place, and it was good after that. But I wonder if you're at a certain place in your life, if you're in a dark place in your life
Mm-hmm.
and you die, do you experience a little bit of that until you get out of
I don't know.
it? I don't either, because I didn't have, and I was like, please don't let me have a bad one.
People compare it sometimes, the NDE, to I don't know, tripping and being on acid and stuff like that. Now, if I've ever if I've ever done any kind of thing like that, I've tended, it's nothing like it anyway, let's put it that way.
I wouldn't know that stuff if I fell over it, so
No,
I
I
wouldn't
know.
know. But
I know. But it's nothing like it. I mean, I just had blanks from my life. It's almost like our existence is a continuation in life, and when we go to sleep, we cease to exist because our consciousness isn't there. We're in a dream, and the consciousness is in another place, the dream. When we wake up, then we go back to our consciousness. But taking drugs can either be going to another place, don't know what it is, don't know where it is, don't know anything really much about it, or annihilating, like you do when you're sleeping in dreamless sleep. So it seems to me like, from my experience, it's a very, very different quality to it.
But it's still very, I mean, everybody's experiences are different, but they're all valid. And, you know, just because they're different doesn't mean it's not important. It's important.
Yeah, that's an important point, because everybody's experience is perfect, but everybody's experience is unique. And some people say, oh, it is this way, and it is that way, and it is the other way. Well, yes, for you it is. For someone else, it may not be that way.
Exactly.
And it's sort of a tolerance versus intolerance there. And it seems sad that it comes into NDEs, after NDEs, people being intolerant.
Yeah, when we talk about them and stuff, everybody, there have been people who have said, you know, they'll answer a question and this is the absolute truth. And I've said, is this information you got from your near-death experience? Or is this an opinion that you have formed over the course of your life?
Yes.
Because,
question.
You know, what's absolute truth to me is different than what's absolute truth for you.
Yes.
And that doesn't mean that I'm right and you're wrong, or you're right and I'm wrong. It just means that, you know, every single person is unique and special, and
exactly,
you know, just the way they were
yeah,
purposefully made just to be what we are, and we're okay just the way we are. But
perfect,
you know,
yeah. And you and I have disagreements, but we both agree that both are equally
both
valid.
are right.
Yeah,
Exactly.
both are right.
We're both right.
So funny.
Plus, I love you to pieces. I wouldn't argue with you.
Thank you. You too. Let's do a finishing thing for people who might look at this video. What would you like to finish on?
One of the messages that I got when I was in heaven, you know, my first and second were both, I went back to the same place. I mean, my second and third were exactly the same places. And it was interesting with my third NDE that I saw people pouring out of that garden, which must have been the receiving place or something. And they were from all different walks of life, all different colors, sizes, shapes, ages, and traditions. You know, people say, I've heard people say that, you know, heaven is only for Christians. Well, no, that's not true, because I saw in my third, I saw Muslims and Jews. And, I mean, just every tradition you could think of, I saw. So if that's saying that heaven is only for Christians and there's only 144,000, and that's an awful huge place for 144,000 people, when I saw so many people from so many different. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that it's not just for one certain set of people. I mean, it's for everybody.
Yeah.
And what I'm calling heaven, you may call something different, or you know, someone else may call something different. But that was my understanding of where it was.
Heaven does.
I said, send me back to that garden. I'll stay there for the rest of eternity, even if it's only kindergarten heaven. I don't care. So.
No, I never had an experience like that. I just heard, I went down the White Tunnel, you know, which we know about. I was drawn down the White Tunnel, and then I saw what can only be described as the heavenly hosts. I don't know how to describe it. If I was Jewish, I'd have a way to describe it that in a Jewish way. If I was a Muslim, I'd have a way. If I was a Viking, it would be Valhalla, you know. But I heard merriment and singing and the most beautiful, magical singing and music. And I saw all these bodies of light. They were just like columns of light, and it went as far as I could see. And all of
That's
these were
beautiful.
beings. They were as separate as they were together. So
Yes, that's one thing that I noticed too. Everybody, the people I saw, they all had bodies, but I called them light bodies because they kind of glowed from the inside
yeah,
out, but yet they looked like people to me.
yeah.
And they were all young and healthy and beautiful. And it was like, okay, I'll stay here. This is good.
I'll be
And
young
I
and
heard the
beautiful and
music
healthy.
too.
Yeah.
The beautiful music.
Yeah.
Now the only thing I wish is that we were sent back with the gift of creating that gorgeous music.
Oh, yes.
I didn't have that gift.
Well,
I
I'm
can't.
sure some people are. You know, if you see someone like Bach, he created some fantastic, and some other people have created incredible music that is so, the only word I could use is authentic.
Soul moving.
Mm.
When I hear beautiful music, my soul just literally, not that I die and it comes out, but I mean, it just soars. It's just, and there's certain pitches or
Yes.
certain notes that it
Yes.
hits, and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Something I wanted to ask you. After you had your NDE, I mean, after I had my NDE, I was visually aware of angels and demons. It sounds ridiculous. Both positive and negative entities
Mm-hmm.
that do not exist on this plane that we cannot normally see. I don't know if you
Yeah,
had that too.
yes, I did very much. Still do.
Yeah.
Still do. I can tell the difference between what we would call good angels and bad angels, or
Yeah.
angels and demons, or whatever.
Yeah.
And I've got some really hilarious stories that I'll share with you some other time. But
Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Well, we're going to
it
have
would,
to go anyway, so it'll have to be some other time.
yeah,
Maybe, maybe next time we do a Zoom meeting, and
that would be
maybe if
great.
other
Yeah,
people come.
it would be, it would be wonderful. But yes, you're right. There is definitely
Yeah.
good and bad, or light and dark.
Okay. So let's call this a wrap. It's good to see you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.